The Galactic Council had convened emergency sessions before wars, plagues, supernova migrations, but nothing like this. Never had a single species caused fear across 3 spiral arms without firing a single shot. The reason was simple. Humanity had gone silent. Not withdrawn, not isolated, not defeated. They had refused all diplomacy. No ambassadors, no treaties, no negotiations, no translations. Just one short transmission, broadcast across every known frequency in the galaxy. Do not approach human space. And then, nothing. 1. The first panic. High Counselor Virex of the Taylor Dominion struck the crystalline table with one glowing limb. This is absurd. Humans are a minor species, barely 4 centuries into spaceflight. You don't simply refuse the council. Around the massive circular chamber, hundreds of alien delegates murmured in fear. Wings fluttered, chitons scraped nervously, energy beings dimmed and brightened with unease. Ambassador Sharel of the Avari whispered, "They didn't refuse the council, Counselor, they rejected everyone." "And why should that frighten us?" Virex demanded. Because every race in the chamber already knew the answer. It had been only 7 years ago that humanity emerged from its home system, a young, loud species with crude ships and astonishing adaptability. They traded eagerly, talked endlessly, asked questions, made friends. Then came the Vorthan incident. A minor border skirmish, a misunderstanding of trade routes. The Vorthan Empire sent a patrol into human-controlled space, expecting compliance. Only one ship returned. And its crew was silent with terror. They said the humans did not threaten, they did not negotiate, they did not chase. They simply appeared, surrounding the Vorthan fleet with ships that seemed unfinished, angular, scarred, silent. Then they disabled every ship simultaneously. And let them go. With a warning. The warning was not poetic. It was not noble. It was not diplomatic. It was human. This was a courtesy. After that, every attempt at contact failed. Trade ships vanished at the borders without hostility, just rerouted by invisible forces. Probes were returned dismantled and neatly packaged. Diplomats were ignored. And now, 7 years later, humanity had sealed its borders completely. No signals in. No ships out. Only that same repeating phrase, "Do not approach human space." Counselor Virex hissed, "They're bluffing, isolating themselves, they'll collapse without galactic trade." Ambassador Sharel's feathers fluffed in fear. "They haven't collapsed, they've grown." A massive display lit up in the chamber. Human territory had tripled. Without expansion wars. Without trade routes. Without alliances. They were building something. And nobody knew what. Against council orders, the Krell Surveillance Guild launched a stealth observation probe advanced beyond most military scouts. It crossed into human space unnoticed. For exactly 3 seconds. Then the signal cut. 20 minutes later, the probe was returned. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Perfectly intact. But its memory core had been altered. Only one message remained. "We ask you not to." The panic that followed spread like a shockwave across the galaxy. Because humans weren't hiding. They were watching. Dr. Illyra Hayes stood alone in Observation Vault 9 beneath the surface of Earth. Ancient servers hummed beside quantum cores that glowed with blue-white light. Above her, buried under kilometers of rock and defense grids, lay humanity's greatest secret. The Archive of Ashes. Proof. History. Every signal of first contact from alien species across the galaxy. And the pattern that terrified humanity into silence. Every species that achieved faster than light travel was eventually absorbed into an empire. Or erased. Every single one. Except one. Humans. Because for the first time in galactic history, the newcomers had discovered the truth before the galaxy discovered them. Dr. Hayes whispered, "They don't come in peace, they never did." The council spoke of unity. But the archive told a different story. Old empires, fallen civilizations, species erased and rewritten into client races. Humanity had seen their future. And rejected it. Desperation forced the council's hand. They built a ship using only neutral species technology, no weapons, no hidden systems. They placed on board a single envoy, chosen not for power or species, but for one trait: empathy. The envoy was small, soft-voiced, non-threatening, a race known for never having fought a war. Her name was Lyra. The ship crossed into human space. For the first time in 7 years, it was not turned away. Instead, space folded around her. And she was gone. Lyra awoke in a room of soft light and gravity that felt human. Across from her sat a single figure. A human woman in plain clothing. No uniform. No insignia. Just tired eyes. "Welcome," the woman said gently. "I'm Director Chen." Lyra bowed low. "The council begs for dialogue." Director Chen nodded slowly. "We know, that's why you're here." "Why did you abandon diplomacy?" Lyra asked. Chen's expression darkened. "We didn't abandon it," she said. "We discovered what it really was." She gestured, and the air filled with ghosts of dead civilizations. Worlds burned. Treaties broken. Species rewritten as labor forces. "You call it unity," Chen said softly. "We call it extinction with paperwork." Lyra trembled. "The council didn't tell us this." "No," Chen agreed. "They wouldn't." "So what will you do?" Lyra asked. "The galaxy fears you." Chen's gaze hardened. "Good. We learned something unique about our species," Chen continued. "We don't expand quietly. We don't assimilate well. When pushed into hierarchies, we break them." Lyra tilted her head. "You fear becoming tyrants?" "No," Chen replied. "We fear becoming victims, or weapons." Humanity had built fleets not to conquer, but to ensure no one ever forced them into another empire. Not again. Not ever. "We didn't refuse diplomacy out of arrogance," Chen said. "We refused because diplomacy only exists between equals." "And you no longer believe anyone is your equal?" Lyra asked. Chen met her gaze without flinching. "No, we believe the galaxy has never met a species that refuses to kneel." Lyra was returned safely. Her ship emerged from folded space at the heart of the Galactic Council chamber. Alive. Unharmed. Holding a single data crystal. The message played across every world. Director Chen appeared on a billion screens. "We are not your enemy," she said, "but we will not be your resource, your client, or your experiment. You built empires by offering protection in exchange for obedience. We reject that model. We will not join your council. We will not sign your treaties. And if any force enters our space without consent, this courtesy will be the last." Behind her, the display shifted. For the first time, the galaxy saw humanity's full fleet. Not thousands. Millions. Hidden inside folded space. Waiting. The chamber erupted. Delegates screamed in panic. Energy beings destabilized. Warhawks demanded immediate retaliation. But none dared vote for war. Because for the first time in history, the dominant powers of the galaxy realized something horrifying. They were no longer the apex force. Humanity hadn't raced to catch up. They had leapt beyond. Not through conquest. Through fear-fueled preparation. Trade routes were rewritten overnight to avoid human borders. Pirate empires collapsed, human patrols erased them with surgical precision and vanished without claiming territory. Slave markets were destroyed by invisible fleets that left survivors untouched, free, and in shock. Humanity never asked for gratitude. They never stayed. They never spoke. They simply acted. Slowly, quietly, the galaxy began to understand. Humans weren't building an empire. They were building a wall. Not to keep others out, but to keep the galaxy from repeating its oldest sins. Years later, Ambassador Charel stood once more before the council. "The humans still refuse all diplomacy," she reported. "Yet every border war has stopped. No civilizations have vanished. No empires have expanded." The chamber fell into uneasy silence. At last, High Counselor Virex spoke, his voice no longer arrogant. "They terrify us without ruling us." Charel inclined her head. "Perhaps that is what true power looks like." Far beyond the edges of mapped space, Director Chen watched new stars form through reinforced glass. A young officer approached. "Another empire has collapsed without war." Chen nodded. "Good. Do you think the galaxy will ever forgive us for refusing to kneel?" Chen smiled faintly. We didn't do this to be forgiven. She turned back to the stars. We did it so no one ever has to beg again. And so the galaxy learned a terrifying truth. The most dangerous species it had ever encountered was not the one that conquered worlds, but the one that refused to be conquered by anyone.